What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This video has been a long time coming. I have made a similar video to this in the past, but I've done some things a little bit differently in the last year, and I wanted to redo this video and try to help you guys as much as possible. So my goal in this video is to teach you how I go from anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 per month plus in profit every single month with sports betting and sports betting only. Now, my name is Ryan. For the ones who are new to this channel, I am the owner / co-owner of Fantasy Aces. I run Fantasy Aces with my dad. We both have a 50-50 split in this business, and we post slips every single day for free on YouTube. So if you guys are wanting free plays every day, subscribe to the channel now, and let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to go over in this video. So I'm going to separate this video into pretty much three sections. So there's going to be a small unit bettor, a medium unit bettor, and a large unit bettor, and I'm going to give you guys tips for each category depending on where your bankroll is. So let's talk about it. First of all, I want to talk about my experience. So I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this for about 8 years myself. Now my dad has been doing this for 20 years plus. He's the reason I got into this. And we started with kind of the FanDuel DFS. So I was doing this for about 4 years. FanDuel DFS. Did this a lot. You can see some of these slips. This is from November 2021. This is from let's see if another one has a date on it. I know some of them do. Yeah, November 2022. So these are just old slips that I had in my phone, screenshots that I had taken showing wins from a long time ago on Twitter. And I just wanted to show them to you guys. So you can see there's quite a few wins here. This is not the flex wins by any means. This is to show credibility, to show you how long I've been doing this, because this is not YouTube, but this betting scene has changed so much over the last year. It has become the #1 scam on the planet. And I want to be as honest and as transparent as possible. I'm not a scammer. I never will be a scammer. I will not fake slips, and you're never going to see that happen. So you can see here, $302, $1,300, some big wins in here. $2,200, $2,700 off $300, and $1,000. I'm pretty sure $4,000 is the biggest win I have on here. This was back in May 2021, $4,000 win, $4,000 win, $4,700 win on November 2021. So we were hitting these big tournaments a lot. So it ended up transitioning. We ended up going from doing these FanDuel style DFS and DraftKings DFS to more of a player props experience. So what I do now is I do player props and I do money lines, and that's all I do. So here is me tracking my bets for the last 2 months in a new bet tracker. So I started this bet tracker in December. I have logged every single sportsbook play that I have played in the bet tracker, and then I have an app called Pickit, which I use sometimes depending on which apps I'm using for the month. Because the reason I don't track my sports books in Pickit, first of all, is because Pickit doesn't let you connect every single sports book that I use. I use like Bovada and ThunderPick and all these other different things, and you can't connect it to Pickit. So I just decided to log them myself. Pickit for the month of January profited $3,100 on player props. For the month of January on my sports bet tracker, $8,712 on money line. So money lines definitely were the moneymaker. That's a total of $11,800 in profit in the month of January. When you look at December, you're looking at around $5K. Now, I have this bet tracker pulled up. You can see the month of February so far has not been going so great. I'm in the negative right now, but you can tap this, double click it, whatever. You can come over to December and January, and you can see those months. So anyways, I am going to be giving you guys this bet tracker for free down in the description. If you want to use it, it will be a clean slate version, which I'll help you guys get that set up here in just a little bit. That's not the main focus of this video. I just want you to know that it is going to be there, and you guys need to be tracking your bets if you plan on making money with this. If you're just somebody who does it for fun, then you don't have to necessarily track everything. But if you're trying to make this some type of side hustle or you're trying to make money from it, you do need to be tracking. So there we go. Pretty much showed what I've been doing, and let's go ahead and jump into the meat and potatoes of this video. Let's start with talking about what a unit is, why you need to have a unit size, and how to find your unit size. So a unit is going to be the amount that you play on every single bet every single day, and this unit is going to be determined by your total amount of bankroll. So a unit, for example, if you have a $100 bankroll versus you have a $1,000 bankroll, is going to be completely different. So if you have more money in your account, you're going to have a higher unit than someone who has less money. So a unit is just what we're placing on these slips every single day. It keeps you consistent. This is why you have a unit size. It makes you disciplined. You don't have emotional ties to games because you're betting the same amount every single time. I'm not going to think, oh man, I really love the Patriots for a Super Bowl, so I'm going to lock in 10 units on them. I'm going to nuke this play. No, you put 1 unit on every play, especially if you're new to this, and it keeps you very consistent. So how do I get my unit size? Let's go ahead and talk about that, how to calculate your unit size. So you calculate your unit size by taking your total bankroll. So this is going to be the total amount that you have in every single app added together. So if you have $1,000 in 5 apps, your total bankroll is going to be $5,000. Then you're going to multiply that number times 1 to 5%, depending on how aggressive you want to be. Now, let's go ahead and be honest with yourselves. Every single one of us is a grown man / woman. We can make our own decisions, and we know if this is going to be too much money to bet on a slip or not enough money, okay? You know what's mentally going to keep you sane, and you have to make your own decision. 10% is the highest I would ever recommend anybody do. And I have had people come up to me, and this is the only reason this 10% max is said. 1 to 5%, 5% is very aggressive. 10% is too aggressive in my opinion, but I have had people come to me before, and they'll be like, hey, Ace, I can't play 1% of my bankroll because my book won't let me play that much. And I'm going to give you an example. They have a $20 bankroll. If they try to play 1% of that $20 bankroll, then they got a 20 cent bet, and they can't do it. So they end up going up to 10% and have a $2 bet instead of a 20-cent bet. Now, the problem with 10% is if you have a 2 or 3 days that are bad, you're going to lose all your money, and you're going to have to redeposit. So you need to tell yourself, if this amount of money is going to financially hinder me into a point where I can't pay my bills, first of all, don't gamble it, because you're gambling in the end of things. And this is not, I'm just going to get this out of the way. This is not advice. I'm not telling anybody to start gambling at a side hustle. I'm telling you this is what I do, and I'm giving you tips on how I do what I do. But yes, so if it's going to financially hinder you, just don't put it in there. You need to have amounts that you're not worried about losing. If you're starting out small, let it be an amount that is like what you would consider a hobby. Like if I was going to go spend $20 on a video game and buy a skin on Call of Duty or something, maybe you put the $20 in your betting account and you want to do that, that is perfectly fine. But 10% max is only if you have such a low bankroll that you can't do 1 to 5%. I don't recommend going over 1 to 5%. 5% is still a very aggressive number. So how do we calculate this number? So the formula for this total is going to be your total bankroll times the percentage. An example is going to be $100 times 1%. 1% is going to be 0.01, so you'll move the decimal twice, so it's going to be 1, 1, 2, you're going to have a 0 here, so 0.01 times 100, you're going to have a $1 bet at a $100 bankroll if you did 1%. $5 bets is going to be, or 5% is going to be $5, so you can adjust this number depending on your bankroll. If your bankroll is $100, just know you're not going to be betting huge bets. Now, the next thing we need to talk about, and this is going to be one of the biggest things for a lot of you, is going to be figuring out your betting identity, what your goal is, and then we're going to talk about scams. And just ignore these two pictures right here right now. We're going to go over that in a second. But first of all, let's talk about your betting identity. So betting identity is a term that I created in our last video, and I called it betting identity because it's what you plan on doing with the sports betting. You have your own identity with this. So some people are going to put $10 in here and try to turn their $10 into $50,000 and try to just get super lucky and win the lottery. Those are the ones the sportsbooks loves, first of all. They love for you to do that because they just made $10 for nothing. And then later you're going to throw another $10 in, and eventually you're going to be, over the course of a year, $1,000 out of your bank account gone that they just made off of you. And they do that with 10 million people over a course of a year, and look how much money they just made. So identify your betting identity. Identify what you want to do with this. If your goal is to have a side hustle and makes a considerable income with it, then you need to start setting yourself up for success and not for failure. And you need to start betting in a way that's going to make you money, not in, and I know that sounds like obviously we're going to bet in a way that's going to make me money, but the way that I'm saying this is you need to bet in a way that is long-term going to succeed and not plus 2,000, 3,000 odds parlays, because those are not going to hit. So, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. The next topic is scams. Obviously, like I said a minute ago, this industry has exploded. The betting capper space is now the biggest scam in the industry. It went from drop shipping to whatever the side hustle is. Now it's sports betting. Everybody is a sports bettor. Everybody's been doing this for 50 years. Everybody's profitable to make millions of dollars. Let me tell you something. If every single one of these cappers were profitable, the Vegas wouldn't be an industry, and the sports betting industry wouldn't be there. Now, I'm going to show you guys two slips. This is a slip that I posted the other day, February 6th, literally yesterday, that cashed. I put $150 on it to win $300. It was a double up. That is the way that I bet. I run double ups. We'll talk about it here in just a minute. We'll get more in depth on the styles of betting, but that's the way that I run things. Here's a fake slip. Look how realistic this looks. $10,000 paid $30,000. Now, if the LeBron and LaMelo pictures were not swapped and not looking crazy, you would never know that this is fake. And people do this all the time. Prize Picks is not letting a normal person bet $10,000 on a slip like this. They're not going to let you. They're going to limit you. First of all, this is a promo. There's so many things wrong with this picture, but some people are good enough to where they can make this look, and they will spend hours a day making stuff like this look realistic to scam people into paying for their picks. If you are following a capper, and some people are going to follow cappers, that's just part of it. If you don't want to do your own research, find a capper that's good and find somebody that suits your style and do it. And I don't think every capper is a scam, but 90% of them are scams. If they cannot give you anything for free, if they can't give you a bet for free, you might as well consider them a scam. If they are charging you like $400 or $500 or $300, even $100 for a day pass, they are a scam. I charge $25 a month, $10 a week, and I do that so that anybody can join the Discord. It's a community for me. And some people are going to be like, yeah, well, you make all your money from selling picks, and then that allows you to make more bets. You're not wrong. It does. But when I can show proof of me making $8,000 to $10,000 per month with $250 bets, why would a $25 investment for someone be dumb when they could make a couple $100 potentially? And I'm not saying every month's green. It's not. I have red months. I lose money. There's going to be people in the Discord that don't tell the plays right that are going to lose money. It's going to happen. You could be one of those, or you can watch this video and you cannot be one. So I'm just saying, be careful with this industry. If you see stuff like this, $1 million plays, you see people play $30,000 slips on a sports book, because it's not just prize picks. First of all, it is not only prize picks that these slips are faked. They are faked on FanDuel. They are faked on DraftKings. They are faked on BetMGM. Any app you can think of, they get faked. And this is why I lock in my plays live on YouTube, so you guys can see me lock it in and you can see that I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Most people that do this put $1 or 10 cents or something on the slip, then they change the number to $10,000, and even if they lose 20 slips in a row, they lost like $2 or $3, and then if they hit one of them, they made $50K. So just remember that. It's a massive scam. If you see a 20-year-old kid running ads on Facebook or Instagram, he's probably scamming you. Most of these kids haven't been, they're not old enough to be good at this, first of all. So just know that most of them are scams, and I'm just throwing that out there in this video because of where this industry has changed in the last year or so. That being said, let's jump into the first topic of this video. We're going to start with, or I say the first topic, but the first unit size we're going to talk about, the small unit better. So the small unit better is going to be anybody with a bankroll of $100 to $1,000. And I'm because you might as well say 0 to 1,000. Let's change this. 0 to $1,000. So you have a $10 bankroll, $1,000 bankroll, whatever, you're going to be in this category, $9.99. Once you hit 1,000, you go to the next category. But the goal for this is going to be building good habits. So our goal for this is going to be being consistent. Consistency is going to be key. You need to track your bets, and you're going to see me talk about tracking bets in the next one, because once you get over $1,000 bankroll is when bet tracking really becomes a key factor. But still, when you're first starting out, if you're not doing this just for a hobby and you're doing this because you want to actually build something with it, then yes, you need to start tracking your picks. So goal is going to be consistent. Here's my advice for this. So the first thing is going to be your mindset. Your unit size could be $5 or it could be $10. That feels small, but you're paying to, this is some like cliche little term, but you're paying for tuition to learn the game. So you're learning in this stage. You are learning. You're trying to get better. You're trying to figure out what you're good at, what you're bad at, what kind of plays you like. Do you like 10x parlays? Do you like double ups? Do you like 1.7x parlays? Do you like playing minus 500 favors? Do you like playing 15 leg plus 2,000 odds parlays? Because depending on what you choose in that is going to determine your success. I am a double up kind of guy. I like to play 1.7 to 2.0x slips. That's just what I like. I play at enough of a bankroll to where a we'll say a double up. If I play $250 on a slip, I double up, I make $250. If I hit one slip a day, that's 250 times 30, that's $7,500 a month in profit. So you need to look at this in long terms. Multiply what you're winning on a daily basis, multiply it by 30, and that's what you could be making. Now, every day is not going to be a winning day. You got to factor that in as well, but that's kind of how I look at things. If I can profit $10 a day, I can make $300 a month. And you look at that in small terms. So we're not chasing a get-rich-quick scheme, parlays that turn 10 into 1,000. You might hit one of these, but when you hit one, it's going to give you that adrenaline, and you're going to play these over and over and over, and eventually you're going to be down more than you're up. I promise you, this is where most people get trapped into. This is where most people bet at, and this is the kind of person that Vegas loves. So flat betting is mandatory. You can't afford to vary your bet size just yet. So this right here, this is going to be kind of like where I say stay consistent. Right now, if you're betting $5 to $10, you're not going to be betting $25 on some slips. That would be considered a nuke. I don't care how much you like it. And I'm going to give you an exception here in just a minute. There is going to be an exception to this. So keep the same unit size. You're betting the same on every slip. Don't go away from that unless, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. So main focus here is going to be on percentage growth, not dollar growth. I know I was just talking about $50 times 30 is going to be $1,500 a month or whatever. You can look at it that way if you want, or you can look at it in terms of percentage. If you have $50 in your bankroll, you can't start sports betting and expect to make $500 your first month. Don't expect that, especially if you're betting every day. Now, if you get lucky on your first day and hit a 10x, yeah, you did it. You made $450 profit in your first day. Don't expect that to happen every single day. I promise you, you will lose all of your money. So focus on, if I turn $50 into $70, that's a 40% gain or something, whatever it ends up being. So you got to just remember that, small wins add up. So $25 off of 50 would be a 50% profit on the month. Anywhere you put your money and you get 50% ROI, you're doing insane amounts of, you're doing great. You're doing great. So bet size matters in terms of where your profit is. Look at percentages, not dollars. Don't compare your wins to somebody who's betting $5,000 on a slip. You cannot compare yourself to that if you have a $5 bankroll, because it's going to take you a long time to get to that point. And then my last thing is going to be for a small unit bettor is promos. Take advantage of the promos. This is a huge one, and I'm showing you an example. This is not to plug my code. My code is here. If you want to sign up for them, go for it. They're all in the description anyway. I plug them in every other video. This is just to show you guys what is going on. So right here, most of these apps will give you a deposit match. So if I'm a new bettor and I have $100 that I have allocated to sports betting, this is what I would do. I would find two apps. So, for example, parlay play, and we're going to pretend underdog here is DraftKings. So, parlay play is an option for player props. We'll say DraftKings is your option for money lines. So, you want to have one of each. You want to be able to bet on teams. You want to be able to bet on spreads. You want to be able to bet on totals. You want to be able to bet on things like that, because that's pretty much where all these bet trackers are. Every single one of these bets, Nuggets, Knicks, Pelicans, all these different money lines that you're not going to be able to get on an app like parlay play, because parlay play is going to be like, how many points is LeBron going to score? How many points is LaMelo going to score? Things like that. So the player props versus a sportsbook play, you need one of each. So if I had $100, this is what I would do. I would take 50 of it, put it in an app like Parlay Play. The other 50, I would put in another app that is going to double your first deposits. Parlay Play doubles your first deposit up to $100. If you put $100 in, you get $200. So now think about that. You doubled both your deposits. So now instead of just having $100, you have $200 to play with, which is twice as much as you had. So now your bankroll at 5%, it goes from $5 to $10. So now you're betting more than you normally would, and you have options. You can follow parlay plays or player props, and then you can also follow a sports book. If you have a bankroll, if you say I have a $500 bankroll, I would take advantage of the deposit match on every single platform. Every platform is going to give you some type of promo every day. They're going to give you free squares. They might give you LeBron over 0.5 points. And then you know that's going to cash. He's going to score a bucket. And then other app might give you LaMelo over 2 points. Just random things. Each app's going to have one. So if you have $500, instead of putting $500 all in one book, put it across different books so that you can play these promos, because these promos add up. When they give you a bet that's $25 max, sometimes it's okay to bet the max if that play is like a free square, okay? So if they give you LeBron at 0.5 points, and then you want to pair it with a goblin and have a double up, and it's like one side is free and then the other side is like minus 400 odds, sometimes it's okay to just play the full amount on that slip. Instead, if you say an example is, if my unit size is $5, but parlay play will let me play $25 on this free square, instead of playing my $5 unit, it might just, that's going to be the best potential win that you can get on the free square. So sometimes it's okay. I admit to the people in my Discord, it's okay to just to max bet on that if it's going to give you, if you can play $25 on it. I know that would be considered a nuke, but if that hits, it can drastically increase your bankroll. And you can take advantage of that on a ton of different platforms, and it can add up, and you can get from that $100 to that $1,000 mark very quickly. And then you can go to the next group, and the next group is going to be a medium unit bettor. Wow, surprise, crazy word, medium instead of small. Anyway, bankroll, $1,000 to $10,000. So this is where I would say a lot of you guys are, if you've, not many people are going to be above the 10,000 mark. So 95% is going to be $10,000 or under in the sports betting game. And the goal here is going to be to optimize your return on investment. So key topics here, line shopping. At this level, this is where your betting odds matter. You need multiple sports books. And we'll talk about that here in just a minute. Why? You need to track every single pick a spreadsheet, an app like Pickett. If you're not tracking, you are just guessing on what's working for you. If you cannot physically see what is working for you. If I'm betting 5 plays a day on NFL and 5 bets a day on NBA, and I'm 0-5 on NBA, 0-5 on NBA, then I'm 5-0 on the NFL, and I keep doing that day by day by day, and I'm breaking even because I sweep on NFL every day, and then I reverse sweep on NBA every day, I should stop betting NBA. I don't have what it takes to bet on the NBA. I'm you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say I'm an idiot, but I'm getting very unlucky on the NBA, or I am just not good at the NBA, and you need to decide what it is and figure out, like, why are you not succeeding in the NBA? Are you playing spreads? Are you playing totals? Are you playing money lines? Are you taking too many underdogs? You need to look at the odds on these bets and find out if it's worth it. There's a lot of different things you got to do. So definitely have an app that lets you look at things. I can go back to my bet tracker always. I can see where my losses are. I'm like, I lost 3 days in a row. I was like reverse swept on that day. That was a very bad day. But then you see other days and it's like, okay, so I hit all 3 of those on, or 2 of 2 on the first, or whatever. So you can go back. I have this set up on the bet tracker to where you can see a win-loss ratio. So right here you can see 62.77% win rate over the last 2 months-ish, and $13,469 in profit over the last 2 months on this in total. And you can go all the way up. I got the things hidden so that you can't see all these sales because it takes longer to update. But this is all my bets from the beginning of December, all the way up through February, and you can see all that. So let me try to hide the rows. It should be back to where it was. Yep, we're good to go. So recommend each one of you have it. If you don't have it, you're not setting yourself up for success. And then the strategy, find your strong suits, capitalize on it. If you're very good at NBA, continue betting on NBA. Do more NBA than anything else. If you're very good at college football, do college football. If you suck at soccer, don't do soccer. That's just find the sports you know, the sports that you're educated in, and those are the ones that you need to be betting on, not every single sport out there just because it's available, like hockey. Like hockey's available right now. I know absolutely nothing about hockey. Do I want to learn hockey? Of course. I would love to bet on hockey. I think it would be really cool, but I don't even know the rules of the sport. I know you put the puck in the net and you hit it with a stick, and that's about it. So hockey's something I would love to learn. It's not something I'm good at, which is why you don't see me give free picks and stuff for hockey. Straight up. That's what you need to do. Stick to your strong suits. And here's an example of why odds matter, because this is huge. I'm a $250 bettor. I bet $250 on every single play. Here's an example. At $250 at minus 150 odds, so you got a pretty juiced favorite here, minus 150, pays 166.68. If I found that on one book, and then there was another book that has it at minus 120, and I just locked it in on this book anyways, I'm costing myself money. Look at the difference. At minus 120, it would pay at 208. That's a $40 difference. $41 and some change difference in those two payouts. If you do that every single month, if you do one slip like this every single day, over the course of a month, that's a $1,200 difference that you would have made. That is a lot of people's mortgage. So remember, I mean, I know I'm not going to say a lot of people's mortgage, but I mean, it is. That's quite a good bit of money. That's a good chunk of change. That's $24,000 or $14,400 a year. It adds up when you do that. So highly recommend you guys line shop. There are platforms that allow you to do this, and I'm going to give you an example. I use Outlier. Outlier.bet is one of my favorite tools. If I were to click this, say, Brooklyn versus Washington game, I could click the game. I could come up here, and then I can see the line across every single book. And I can click all these. I can hover my mouse where it is, and it will tell me the line over every single book, and I can see where the best value is. So the best value is going to be on Bovada, or I don't know what that BM one is, Bookmaker, I think. So Bovada's minus 185, which is, I can't point at the screen. I can't move my mouse, but you can see minus 185. Bookmaker just took it off the board. So you can see the value right here, minus 185, is going to be really, really good on Bovada. And that's where you should play it, because it's going to end up being more money in your pocket. So anyways, always pay attention to that. Once you get good at this, which this is, I mean, my bankroll stays around 15K across my books. That's where I keep things. So I would put myself as a large bettor, but I keep my unit size in the medium range. So 10,000, 2.5% is going to be $250. So I'm playing less than 2.5% per slip. Realistically, I could play almost $1,000 on my slips and be fine. And I just don't do it because I am someone who is not desensitized to the amount of money. So let's go over to the large unit bettor. Large unit bettor. Goal is just cash flow. That's what I say. The goal is cash flow. And here's what I say. You need to be desensitized to money. I say that right here, psychology. Losing 1 unit bet here might equal a mortgage payment for some people, and you must be completely desensitized to money. So I'm going to start with that, the psychology behind this, because this is where I find myself with a 15,000-ish bankroll, and it could be more. I just keep it that. That's where I keep my lines at, or my bankrolls at. I withdraw every single month. And we'll talk about when you should withdraw stuff here in a minute as well. But the desensitization, I can't even say that word. So keep yourself desensitized to money. It's hard for me to do because if I have a bad month and I have $1,000 bet and I lose 40 grand, it's just in my head. I'm like, bro, I just lost $40,000 gambling. Like it's like I am a freaking degenerate. Whereas if I have a bad month at a $250 unit size, I lose like 5 grand, and that's a bad month. And I'm like, okay, that's not bad. But it's not bad when I profited 13K over the last 2 months. You know what I'm saying? I'm still up 8 grand if I have a bad month. Now, you could always argue, well, if you have a good month at a higher bankroll, you could profit like 80K. Yes. But when do you change? When do I go from this $250 to $1,000 unit size and like, what if the first month I go from 250 to 1,000 and have a bad month and lose 40 grand? You know what I'm saying? So that's why I haven't increased my unit size. I want to sometimes, but I'm cool with 250. I'm cool with 250 for now. Maybe I go up later. We'll see. But liquidity. So once you get to this level and you're betting, some people bet 2 to 3K slips, which a lot of books won't allow that. You have to understand. So you can't even get your full unit down on smaller markets, so like a player prop or even like college bets or something. Sometimes a book's going to keep you max, and I'm going to give you an example for that. This isn't even a large number, but Patriots money line, I put $1,259.78 because that was the maximum amount that I was allowed to bet. And that was them versus the Broncos when the Broncos were missing Bo Nix in the playoffs, like the last game. So that game, it was on the 125. So you get like this is what I mean. Once you get to this level, you can't even put a full unit sometimes on plays. So market liquidity is a big problem sometimes. You have your psychology. You're going to face limits on books, especially if you're winning better. Some books are going to limit you. I've been limited before on several books, so you have to find ways around that sometimes. And at this point, you're no longer like gambling. At this point, when you have this much money, unless you're just a filthy rich and you're having fun, like this is when you're like investing. You're starting to you got here because you're good. And at this point, you're looking at tons of different things to keep yourself like this is at this point, this is your job. So preservation of your bankroll is more important than aggressive growth. And I'm gonna give you an example. Going from 50K to 100K like isn't necessarily the end goal. Like sometimes it's just going from 50 to 65K and making 15K on a month or something like that. You understand what I'm saying? So you don't have to go these 10x parlays like you do from 100 to 1,000 like some people want to do. Once you get to this point, you're not risking $5,000 to win 50K most of the time. So that's all I'm gonna say. You see a lot of people that bet like this, they're playing minus 200, minus 300 favorites because they don't have to bet. They don't have to do these crazy parlays because if I hit a $5,000 bet at minus 150, then I might profit 3 or 4 grand off of that, and that's enough to like 3 or 4 grand a day. Look how much money you're making. So just remember that your mindset changes in every single one of these categories. And I tried to make this little Miro or Miro, however you say this, to make this easier to visualize for you guys because I figured it might keep the video more interesting. Not sure how this video is going to do in terms of popularity, but just trying to give you guys small things, tips, because I started here. I started with $10 slips on FanDuel. And I was running these $10 slips on FanDuel. And you can see, guys, $179 in entry fees. I wasn't betting a lot. I mean, 15 entries, $179. This is like $10 slips, and I play 15 of them. You know what I mean? So I'm not playing big money. $50 entry fee, $44 entry fee. Some of these I started getting bigger, but I started small. 19 entries at $139 and won $1,200. You understand? That's less than $10 per entry. $5 entry, $25 entry, $22, $50 entry, $5 entry. You understand? So we all start somewhere. If you're in this situation and you're betting $5, don't let anybody bankroll shame you. Who cares if you're betting $5? You just have to understand where you're trying to get to. If I'm betting $5 to win $4, who cares? There was a guy in our Discord yesterday saying anybody can hit a double up. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you? If anybody can if you can double your money every single day, you would be a billionaire. You can't do it. It's too hard to do. Nobody can do it, which is why they can't hit a double up. So they're like, if I can't hit a double up, I might as well go ahead and play 10x. Because if I can hit a 10x as often as I can hit a double up, then I'm better off doing the 10x's. And that's true for a lot of people. So I'm going to throw that out there. I do want to show you guys how to set up this bet tracker. So every single month, this is going to change. All right. So February, for example, my total profit doesn't show. You have to go in here and you have to edit these cells. So for example, if I go back to January, you can see these grayed out squares. These squares are not used. So you're going to look at B1, B5, C5, D5, and E5. They are not going to be on here. See? You don't see any fives. Other than, what is that? F5, is that on there? Yeah, H5 is on there. So, I mean, you're going to have to go and edit these every single month. It's going to be very tedious. I tried to get around that. I couldn't figure out how to get around it. So, for this one, we are not going to be using... why is it doing that? Okay, so F13, B13, C13, D13. I'm sorry, I'm confusing myself. So we're going to get rid of all these 13s. We don't need that one. We don't need C13. We don't need E13. We don't need any of the 13s. All the way up to H and G13, which we don't need either. So we're going to get rid of those two. All right, so then we are going to add the ones we didn't use on December. This is very confusing. I know it is. So the ones we didn't use on December or January are going to be these four because we used those on February. So subtract the ones you don't use, add the ones you do use. These are the ones we are going to use. So we're going to add B, C, D, E, and F. 5. Okay? So add B5, C5, D5, E5, D5, just did them. I already got the other ones. So then add. So profit. All right, so I figured out my mistake. My mistake on this one is I didn't have the E5, the minus 750 on here. So I had to go add that one to the end. So that's what you're going to have to do every single month. And just to give you another example. So February, you do all these days. So these are the calendars that's being used. So none of these squares are used. So when I go to March, I'm going to be adding these 3 squares because these are the 3 that are used. They use the same ones as February. You just add these 3. So we're going to come in. We'll add B13, C13, and D13. We'll add those to the sum, and then it'll add everything up perfectly. And it's going to adjust. When you change this, it will mess up the month prior. So an example of this is for January. My profit in January, $8,712. My profit on here now shows $6,700. Why does it change? Because it's no longer counting these. So you got $1,600 pretty much in difference. It's not counting this line because that line isn't used for February because it stays the same. So if there's a way to fix that and somebody knows, you can hit me up. But I'm pretty sure you just have to adjust it every single month unless I have separate calendars. So I'm giving this for free if you want to use it. You can start in February and then maybe at the beginning of. I could do that in the beginning of my videos every month. On like March 1st, I can show you guys how to edit this. Maybe we can do that. But that is going to be in the description. If you want to try it out, it is there. So that being said, I do want to give you guys some tips in terms of finding a bet. And before we do that, one more thing. So counting your units is better than counting your money sometimes, especially if you want to find out how much you will be up. So an example, here's my total profit. This tracks everything that I have bet on every calendar. It puts it in right here. So I'm up $13,469. So 13,000. Oh my gosh. 13,469. So that's how much profit I am. You divide that by my unit size. My unit size is $250. I'm up 53 units, 53.8 units. Now, why does that matter? That unit size matters, or the amount of units you're up matters. Size matters, get it? Anyways, 53.8 matters because if you're someone who bets $5 or somebody who bets $50, you can find out how profitable, how much money you would have made by telling my plays. So 53.8 is what I'm up in the last month. If you bet $50 on every slip, you would be up $2,700 in the last 2 months, which is an insane return and crazy good return. So that's all I'm going to say. That is there. We can divide it by 50 to get our unit size again. And then if you were a $10 better, obviously you would be up $538 since the beginning of December. Now, when you get to points like this, you have to decide whether or not you want to increase your unit size or stay the same. Like at this point, you can multiply this number. Let's say you had this number times 0.05, and that would be your new unit size. So instead of $10, you'd be betting $25. You could just say $25 to keep it clean, but you could be a $25 better. Or this is what I recommend. So now you turned your $10 into $500. You have $500 after 2 months of sport betting. You've been killing it. You feel good, but you still want to keep your you want to like take some profit out. So you take half of it, divided by 2. You took $250 out and went to your bank, and now you're playing with a $12.50 unit size. So you took $250 out, and your unit size went up. So you can do it that way. You can take all of it out if you need it. Never bet more than you're willing to lose. All those good things. You guys know how it is. But let's go ahead and jump into some ways that you can research. So I'm going to show you guys some tips on how I research the NBA. If you've been watching this video a lot, you know that. So I'm going to refresh so all this data is clean. And let's talk about it. So what I do is I find games. If I'm looking for player props, I like to find games with high totals. So I'm going to look across the board. I'm going to find games with the highest total. So right now, the highest total in this game is a 237.5 total. Now, then you need to look at these two teams. You need to find out if the spread is massive on these teams, because if it is, then this might be a game that has potential blowout. And if you guys are new to sports, you know, or if you're not new to sports, I mean, you know that a blowout will kill your props. If a player gets pulled early because he's not needed, because they're winning so badly, then you're not going to go over on your props. So pay attention to that. I'll look at the totals, and then I'll find games with a high total that has a pretty close spread. So we got some, here's one, 231.5 that has a 1.5 spread. So a very competitive game with a decently high total. This is a good game to target. So we're going to look at this game, Hornets versus Hawks. We're going to look at where the money is. This matters. 73% of the money are on the Hornets. Everybody and their mama is on the Hornets. What do? Do you bet them? Do you not bet them? Do you go against the public? Because Vegas is going to make their money. Let's talk about sports rigged games in sports, because it's definitely true, guys. If you think that these refs sometimes aren't getting paid a lot of money to make stupid calls to hurt a game or hurt a team in favor of where the money is, then you are completely wrong. And I've been watching these games for such a long time, and you'll see stupid calls, and a lot of the time it's because of where this money is at. 73% of the money is on the Hornets. Hawks might get some good calls tonight, especially since this is even odds. If the Hornets win, Vegas loses a lot of money on the money line. But then you look at the spread. 65% on Atlanta plus 1.5. So if this falls on Atlanta plus 1, so let's say the Hornets win by 1, Vegas loses a ton. So you can about guarantee that this will not be a 1-point game. Okay? So just know that. You kind of got to do your math. This is where it can get very confusing, and you can start second guessing yourself and stuff. This is where like experience comes in handy. This is why when you have somebody who's done this for 10 plus years, it can definitely help you out in terms of making these calls. I'm not going to say I call all these right all the time, but I do pay attention to this. So then you can click the game. You can look at how the team's been playing, obviously. If you need a tool to use, Outlier, in my opinion, is the best research tool out there. I'm not talking about optimizers. I'm not talking about prediction tools or anything like that. I'm talking about straight-up research tools to look at games. Outlier is by far the best. You can look at the 2025 season. You can look at all these. We know the Hornets has been killing it. I'm not doing pick reviews right now. I'm just showing you guys how you can research with this tool. And then you can come up here where the totals or the odds are, and you can click this little button. It's like a chart. And I showed you guys this earlier. And this is where you can see where the line movement is. So you can see where the line opened at, and you can see where it's changed, and you can see where other books have it, and you can find the best value, because finding the best value is very, very important when you're betting large amounts of money. If you're betting $5, it ain't going to change that much. You might get 50 cents more, which adds up. But when you're betting $400 and $500, it can definitely be a huge difference in your monthly revenue. So then you can click line up here. You can click player props from here. You can look at players. You can find players. When I'm betting on players, I don't find players who are all over the place. And what I mean is, like, if you have a player, for example, that scores 2 points one game and 25 points the next game, those aren't the players I like to bet on. I like to bet on consistency. So I'll find props. And I'm just going to give you an example. And this is not, I'm not saying play a LaMelo 15 points, but 80% hit rate. 80% of the time, LaMelo is going to drop 15 points. This is not a bad play. Now, it's going to be juiced. But let's say, for example, a book gives you a promo on this, and it's a regular payout at 15 points. And nobody can say that's a dumb bet. He's hit it 80% of games. He's LaMelo Ball. Like, he can drop 30 points plus a game. He has a high ceiling, and this line is a line that he hits all the time, and it's a good matchup versus Atlanta. It's a close spread. It's a game where he should play plenty of minutes. It's a game that should be pretty fast-paced. You understand? So that would be a good play. And I find plays like this, and that's where I put my money. I don't play coin flip plays that I can't get a good read on. If I find a play that's plus money and I think they can win and I want to risk half a unit, I do that. You got to manage your money the correct way. You got to do your research. There's a lot of things that go into this. If you're trying to be a capper, I recommend tracking your plays and showing people you're profitable. If you can show them you're profitable, then you have reason to sell plays. If you can't show you're profitable, you shouldn't be selling plays. That's what I'm going to say. But anyways, guys, I hope this video helps somebody. I know I'm kind of all over the place in this video. If there's any way that I can make this better, anything that you guys want to ask me, ask in the comments, and maybe I'll make a renewed version of this to try to help as many people as I can. But just wanted to give you guys some I'm going to call it free sauce. I'm going to call it some advice is what I'll say. But anyways, I hope you guys have a great day. Hope you guys catch every slip. If you haven't joined the Discord is down in the description. I do have a mentorship. If you want to apply for it, you can send me a message on Discord and we can get you in. But anyways, that's all I got for today, guys. I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see y'all in the next one.